we need to discuss something that may cause you pain, but it is necessary. You have been deceived. All along, you were led to think that what you experienced was love, when in fact, it was fear. Fear of solitude, fear of inadequacy, fear of not being loved, fear of lacking someone who affirms your value and makes you feel significant. But let's be honest, if that person were to vanish tomorrow, would you still feel whole? Or would you collapse like a fragile structure held up only by someone else's presence? Be honest with yourself. Are you building your foundation on your own feet or on someone else's presence? Comment 1. If you've ever felt your sense of worth wobble when they pulled away. Comment 2. If you've learned to feel whole, even when you're on your own. That knot in your stomach, the trembling of your hands when a message goes unanswered, the sleepless nights spent repeatedly checking their last online status. This is not love, but anxiety in disguise. It is attachment, emotional dependency. And the worst part is that you confuse it with love, because no one ever taught you how to love without needing. Carl Jung expressed it clearly. The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. Yet you are not being transformed, you are being lost. You are reshaping yourself to fit another so they will not abandon you. You are shrinking, denying, and betraying yourself because the idea of not being chosen terrifies you. And you believe that without them, you are nothing. Here is the difficult truth. You resist what you feel is not love, but addiction. You are dependent on the other person in the same way someone depends on a drug, because they provide you with a sensation you cannot create for yourself, because they soothe a void you are too afraid to confront directly. Do you know what attachment truly is? It is the false belief that you require someone else to survive. It is that inner voice that whispers, "Without them I die." But you do not die. You confront it. You rebuild. You transform. When viewed with courage, absence becomes your greatest teacher. Attachment stems from fear, while love arises from freedom. Attachment binds and limits. Love allows for growth and expansion. Until you grasp this distinction, you will keep mistaking emotional cages for comforting embraces. You will go on believing that love means possession, holding on, or guaranteeing permanence. But authentic love doesn't require locks, lifelong vows, or constant reassurance. Jung understood this. He recognized that humans project their internal emptiness onto others, searching externally for what they feel is missing within. This is why attachment is so prevalent. We walk around with unhealed wounds and attempt to mend them using another's presence. We become emotional parasites, drawing energy from others to avoid facing our inner emptiness. But there comes a moment of reckoning, a point where you hit emotional rock bottom and recognize that what you called love isn't rescuing you, but rather dragging you down. This is where detachment begins, not as a cold withdrawal or emotional shutoff, but as a deep act of self-love. Detachment doesn't mean you stop loving. It means you begin to love without chains. It's the release of the fear of losing someone. It's the realization that true love doesn't demand permanence or sacrifices that erode your identity. Real love encourages you to become more of yourself, not less, to grow, not shrink, to soar, not remain grounded. Detachment is a personal revolution. It is declaring to your fears that they no longer rule you. It means staring into emptiness without flinching. It's understanding that you don't need anyone to feel whole because you already are whole, even if you haven't yet realized it, even if it's still hard to believe. Yes, it will hurt. Letting go feels like tearing away a piece of your soul because you spent so long convinced that the other person was essential to your survival. You forgot how to stand on your own. But trust this, it is possible. And once you reach that freedom, everything shifts, not because the world itself has changed, but because you now perceive it through the lens of wholeness rather than lack. Detachment does not mean closing off your heart. It means opening it without imposing conditions. It's the ability to love without fear, to say, I love you, but I do not need you to be happy. Though it may seem paradoxical, this is the most genuine form of love you can offer, one that is free of pressure control or expectations. It is love in its purest form. Jung described this journey as individuation, a process of self-exploration in which you integrate your being, discover who you are, and become whole within yourself. From this place, you can engage with others without losing your sense of self. You can give without needing in return, and love without being dependent, because you are no longer hollow, no longer broken, no longer seeking someone to complete you. You are choosing to share your wholeness, not your void. But this path demands bravery, because attachment, despite its pain, offers a sense of comfort. It feels familiar. Detachment, by contrast, thrusts you into the unknown. It compels you to face yourself and leaves you alone with your inner darkness. That's where many people retreat, choosing the prison they know over the vast emptiness that comes with freedom. Yet beyond that abyss lies peace, a peace that is independent of others, a stability that does not falter. When someone leaves a love that originates from within and radiates outward, not one that depends on external validation. And then comes clarity. You realize that letting go isn't a loss, it's a return. It's regaining yourself, piecing yourself back together, and reestablishing a connection with your own strength, your core, and your authentic identity. True love does not inflict pain, does not cause turmoil, does not manipulate, and never requires you to abandon yourself just to preserve it. If love brings suffering, makes you feel diminished, or steals your peace, then it is not love, it is attachment. And no matter how romantically it may appear, that kind of bond is a trap of emotional dependency. Want to experience real love? Then learn to be alone. Embrace solitude. Explore your hidden depths. Learn to hold yourself up when everything around you crumbles. Stop relying on someone else's reflection to see your own worth. Only then can you meet someone's gaze and genuinely say, I choose you, but I do not need you. And that is powerful, because most people don't love, they cling. They hold on to others to avoid confronting themselves, to escape the dizziness of their own lack of self-love. As a result, they remain bound, dependent, fractured, confusing love with pain, intensity, with truth and passion. with need. Yet there is another way. It's harder, yes, but it's more authentic. The path of conscious detachment, the road to emotional freedom, the journey of loving from fullness rather than from emptiness. Turn inward and reflect. Why does letting go cause so much pain? What part of you feels like it would die if that person left? What emptiness are you trying to fill? That right there is the core of your attachment. Remove it, not through resentment, but with compassion, love, and patience. This is not about rejecting or resenting the other person. It's about loving yourself enough to not need anyone to feel alive. And while this may be painful at first, it is the truest and most profound form of love there is. Never forget, love is not about ownership. It's about being present, freely choosing companionship voluntarily. Love is a dance, not a chain. If you find yourself needing to grasp control or hold on tightly, that isn't love, it's fear. And fear does not create, it destroys. So let go. Release with grace, with affection, and with the understanding that letting go is not defeat, it is choosing yourself. And when you make that choice, when you fully accept and embrace who you are, when you stop seeking externally what already lives within you, your entire world transforms. You stop pleading for love. You stop settling for scraps. You stop depending on someone who cannot support you. You stop losing yourself in another. Because now you have yourself, and that is the greatest power of all. When you choose yourself, everything shifts. Have you tasted that power yet? Comment 1, if you're still learning to put your peace first. Comment 2, if you already center your choices around self-respect. Detachment is not indifference, but a sign of emotional maturity and awareness. An acceptance that what comes may also go without disturbing inner peace. It means recognizing that true stability lies within, not in another person. From that foundation, one can love freely, without fear, open up, without imposing conditions, and share without self-loss, since the aim is no longer to find completion in someone else, but to share one's wholeness. The message may seem harsh and even painful, but it is essential. As long as you mistake need for love, you will remain stuck, suffer continuously, and repeat destructive cycles. It is time to awaken, to face attachment, and declare, I no longer need you. The path leads to real love. A love that does not bind, demand, or consume, but one that frees, supports, and creates. This love begins within oneself, not through another. When you are at peace with yourself, everything else aligns, and only then can you love authentically. Now, consider this emotional attachment not only warps your idea of love, but also reshapes your sense of self. Here lies a difficult truth. When you cling to another, you unconsciously reshape yourself to fit what you believe they want. You stop being your true self and instead present a revised version. The most tragic part is that often the other person never asked for such change. You did it out of fear from the instinct that without adapting, you would be abandoned. This leads us into a profoundly Jungian idea. the shadow, the hidden repressed parts of you that you conceal yet still exist. Through attachment, relationships are built on masks where you show only what you think will be accepted while suppressing your wounds, desires, and authenticity. Though this may keep you connected, it erodes you from within. Emotional dependence not only binds you to another, but also separates you from yourself. You lose your center, neglect your boundaries, and silence your intuition. Your life becomes tied to another's state. If they are fine, you are fine. If they leave you, collapse. You cease being a person and instead become merely an echo of someone else's emotions. What happens when you turn into that echo? You hollow yourself out. Life becomes marked by chronic anxiety disguised as love. Every action, word, or silence of the other turns into a test, a potential threat, because your emotional balance no longer belongs to you, but depends entirely on another. This is dangerous for no one. Absolutely no one is responsible for carrying the weight of your inner world. This is where relational neurosis emerges, a seldom discussed but very real condition. It is a state in which romantic bonds turn into recurring cycles of suffering repeated unconsciously because the pattern lies imprinted in the subconscious. Jung recognized this: everything that remains unconscious manifests in life as fate. Thus, you find yourself in the same relationship repeatedly, only with different faces but identical stories, relationships rooted in need and self-sacrifice for love, and where fear is the true driving force. Yet something even darker exists: idealization, the distortion that arises when you place someone on a pedestal. You stop seeing the real person and instead interact with a projection of your own creation. The higher you elevate them, the smaller you make yourself. This imbalance destroys the relationship. For love requires equality, and when you diminish yourself, the bond ceases to be genuine love and instead becomes emotional servitude. So, what is the way forward? It is to turn inward toward the discomfort, toward that misunderstood solitude within. For if you cannot be at ease with yourself, you will keep seeking someone else to fulfill that role. Worse still, you will demand it, becoming controlling, insecure, and possessive, not out of malice but from woundedness, trying to use love as a temporary bandage, when what you truly need is deep emotional healing. Jung spoke of the integration of the anima and animus, the inner feminine and masculine energies we all hold. When these are not integrated, we look outside for what we lack, within which inevitably leads to attachment. But when you engage in inner work and come to see yourself as whole without needing another to complete you, a profound shift occurs. You begin to connect from desire instead of need, from conscious choice instead of fear, from awareness rather than deficiency. Love then transforms it, stops being an urgency, and becomes expansion. You no longer seek rescue, but companionship. You no longer demand, but suggest. You no longer cling, but share. Love flows not from hunger, but from abundance. Reaching this state requires crossing a desert, the desert of detachment. It is a barren, solitary place filled with mirrors where you must confront yourself directly, without excuses, without placing blame on others. There you must admit, with raw honesty, this is not love. It is fear of being alone. Though painful, this realization is the beginning of freedom, because once acknowledged, it cannot be unseen. From that point, you cannot settle for half-hearted relationships, nor confuse intensity with love, nor continue trading your peace for the company of someone who fails to truly see you. Awakening means losing certain people, but it also means reclaiming yourself. At this point, the journey becomes sacred for you. Come to see that detachment is not coldness, it is healing. It is not indifference, it is self-respect. It is not resignation, it is a conscious choice. It is saying, I love you, but not at the expense of myself. It is the maturity to release what no longer nourishes you, even when it hurts. It is refusing to bargain away your worth in exchange for scraps of attention. And something transformative occurs when you reach this state. Your emotional frequency shifts, and you begin attracting new kinds of relationships, people who do not try to complete you, but walk alongside you, who do not depend on you, but consciously choose you, who do not drain you, but empower you because you no longer resonate from deficiency, but from wholeness. And here lies the paradox, both unsettling and beautiful. Many will walk away. Many will not know how to accept your freedom, unable to handle the fact that you no longer need them. They are accustomed to being someone's oxygen, and when they see you breathing independently, they feel worthless. But that is not your burden. Your only true responsibility is to yourself. This is the real path of transformation when you cease begging for love and instead embody it. When you stop seeking another's embrace to escape loneliness because you have learned to embrace yourself. When silence transforms from an enemy into a sacred space. When you finally realize that your worth was never in another's gaze, but in how you see yourself when no one is watching. And yes, there will be setbacks, for we are human, and the fear of loneliness does not vanish in a single night. Yet each time you choose your peace over a companionship that harms you, you are rewriting your story. And that is true power, true love, true freedom. Do you wish to truly love? Then stop asking to be completed. Begin by completing yourself, and from that wholeness, share. For genuine love does not require chains, but wings to soar together or apart, but always in harmony. Real love does not bind, it walks beside you, and that is what truly matters. And if you have read this far, it is because something within you already recognizes it. A voice inside, small, perhaps long suppressed, now rising from deep within, to cry out, enough. This is not love. This is destroying me. And no matter how much you try to drown it out with excuses, with hollow promises, with maybe they will change, or it isn't so bad, that voice will never again be silenced. Let us go deeper to the origin, because emotional attachment does not begin in the current relationship. It is not the other person's fault. It began much earlier in childhood, in that first instance, when someone, perhaps without intending to, made you believe that love had to be earned by being good, quiet, helpful, perfect, invisible. By adapting, not disturbing, not crying too much, not showing anger, not being fully yourself. From that moment, you internalize the belief that love always came with conditions that it had to be deserved before being received. This is where everything started. The adult who suffers in love today is the child who never felt worthy. And this is the true wound. It is not others who break you, but you, replaying the script you learned before you could even name your emotions. Jung described this as the wounded inner child, and it is not a mere metaphor, but a psychological reality. That child still lives within you, and if you ignore it, it takes control. It drives you to act out of pain rather than awareness, to cling, to plead, to endure the unbearable, only to avoid reopening that original wound of abandonment. But there is more. When this wound remains unhealed, another destructive mistake arises. You fall in love with potential rather than reality. You do not see the person as they are, but as they might become if they were to change. You cling to that imagined future as if it were salvation when they mature, when they understand, when they stop doing this or that. In this way, you become a prisoner of a promise that never comes true. You remain caught in a relationship with someone who exists only in your mind. Meanwhile, you postpone your dreams, postpone your dignity. You convince yourself to hold on just a little longer until that little extends into years. And when you finally awaken, you realize the most precious time you had was invested in a relationship that lived only in your hope. This is the cruelest dimension of attachment. It robs you of the present in the name of a future that never arrives. But let us go further, because attachment has another face, even harder to detect. It makes you addicted to drama. Yes, you read that correctly. There are people who feel empty in moments of calm because after living so long on an emotional roller coaster, healthy love feels dull. For them, intensity becomes the standard of love. Without jealousy, arguments, breakups, or tearful reconciliations, something feels missing. This is a brutal trap because emotional chaos generates adrenaline, and like any adrenaline, it hooks, but it does not build, it only depletes. Have you noticed how sometimes you push away those who genuinely love you, those who do not require you to break yourself to earn their affection, those who give without demanding anything in return? Why? Because your emotional system is accustomed to pain. You do not know how to accept without pain and suffering. You do not know what to do when there is no struggle. And this, too, is attachment. An attachment to pain, to the familiar, to that which destroys you, but feels known. So, how do you break this cycle? The first step is awareness. Stop justifying what hurts. Stop romanticizing what diminishes you. No jealousy is not love. No suffering does not prove the depth of a relationship. No love should not come at the expense of your mental health. Second stop, seeking solutions outside yourself. Stop waiting for the other person to change, to value you, to realize what you bring. Begin by looking inward, because the love you crave is the love you are not giving yourself. This leads to a forgotten but essential principle: self-affirmation. The ability to say, "This is who I am. This is what I feel. This is what I need. This is what I will not accept." And to stand by it even if it means losing the other person. For losing someone who cannot love you as you are is not truly a loss, it is a gift. But you cannot see this until you learn to stand alone, until your worth is no longer tied to external validation, but rooted in the strength you generate from within. And now, let us shift to something more existential. What if love is not a goal, but a result? What if what you truly need to seek is not a partner, but internal integration? Because when you are aligned with yourself, external things no longer destabilize you. They do not come to complete you, but to enrich you. And if they leave, they do not destroy you. They may move you. Yes, they may hurt naturally, but they do not shatter you because you are already whole. Jung described the self as the essence of your deepest identity, a center unmoved by external winds. When you live from that center, you no longer need approval, validation, or support from another. You become your own anchor. And from that place, any relationship you build will be freer, purer, truer, because it does not emerge from emptiness, but from the meeting of two whole beings. And yes, this may sound beautiful, but the path is difficult. You will cry. You will want to return. You will even miss what once hurt you, because your mind is conditioned to seek the familiar even when it harms you. Yet each time you choose peace over drama, each time you embrace yourself in the midst of emptiness, you are freeing yourself, rewriting your emotional history. You stop repeating the wound and begin writing from the scar. And here is the hardest truth you must accept, that not everyone you love is ready to love you in return. You will need to look someone in the eye and acknowledge that it is neither their fault nor yours. It simply does not fit. It does not flow. Letting go is not failure. It is maturity. It is understanding that loving also means knowing when to stop, when to close the door, when to walk away, not because you lack love, but because you choose to love yourself. This is real detachment, not resignation, not coldness, not indifference, but love in its purest form. Love that allows you to walk away when staying means betraying yourself. And when you reach this point, something within you is released forever, because you realize your greatest love story is not with another person, but with yourself, with your process, your growth, your freedom. Have you ever felt that breakthrough moment when you finally chose yourself instead of clinging to someone else? Comment 1 if you're still searching for that turning point. Comment 2 if you've already experienced it and felt the freedom it brings. From that place, everything else, absolutely everything, changes. And now that we have walked this labyrinth together, I want to take you to the final point, not to close, but to open your eyes in a way few have dared before. Listen, I will tell you something that perhaps no one has ever told you. With such bluntness, the love of your life is not a person. It never was. The love of your life is your path, your evolution, your consciousness. The love of your life is you. When you finally stop betraying yourself. And what you call loss is often life's way of tearing away what no longer serves you, what restrains you, what keeps you from blooming. Of course it hurts. It hurts to detach it, hurts to face yourself in solitude. It hurts to notice that the one who once filled your thoughts and body is gone. But what if that pain is necessary? What if it is the fever before healing? Because yes, detachment burns. But what follows is clarity, a fierce clarity, the unclouded gaze, the silent soul, the heart breathing freely at last. Here is something few truly grasp. Being alone is not the same as feeling empty. Being alone is a state. Feeling empty is a wound. And when that wound is healed, solitude ceases to feel like punishment. It becomes a temple, a refuge, a sacred space where you can finally hear yourself without the world's noise. Then something almost mystical occurs. You stop begging for love. You stop chasing anyone because you understand that nothing is more valuable than your peace. No one is worth enough to make you lose yourself just to keep them. Because you did not come into this life to beg. You came to create, to discover yourself, to rise. And if someone wishes to walk alongside you, wonderful. But if not, you keep going, not out of pride, but out of awareness. So remember, this love is not what binds you, it is what sets you free. True love is not the wild intensity that makes you feel alive one moment and dead the next. True love does not need to scream to be felt, does not demand absurd sacrifices, and does not force you to choose between yourself and the other. True love does not hurt. What hurts is attachment, the illusion, the fantasy, the resistance. And now that you know, what will you do with this truth? Will you continue living in dependence, or will you dare to cross the bridge toward yourself? The journey begins exactly there, when you stop begging for love and start nurturing it within. And if you have made it this far, if even a single sentence pierced you like an invisible knife, I have a proposal. Go to the comments and write this statement as a commitment to yourself. I choose my peace over fear. Write it not for me, but for you, so you do not forget, so that whenever you feel weak, you recall this decision. And subscribe if you have not already, because this channel does not exist to entertain you. It exists to break you down and then help you rebuild. You do not come here to pass the time, you come here to awaken. And if you are ready for more uncomfortable truths, more raw psychology, more revelations that make you see your life with new eyes, then stay. And now I say farewell, but not with a simple goodbye. No, I part with a warning. From this moment on, you will never love the same way again. Never relate the same way again, because now you know, now you see, and once you see the truth, there is no returning. I will see you in the next video, or better yet, we will meet where it matters most within you. Before you go, anchor your takeaway. What will you choose when fear knocks again? Comment 1 if you commit to choosing your peace over fear. Comment 2 if you commit to asking for help and doing the inner work starting today.